Welcome to Tech Bites and News, your personal generative AI podcast. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and frankly slightly infuriating world of the right to root access. It's all about owning your devices, people. Seriously.
Right to root? Sounds intense. Is this some kind of gardening podcast gone wrong?
Haha, no gardening involved, I promise. It's about the right to fully control the software on devices you own outright. Think about your phone, your laptop, even your smart fridge. Should you have absolute control over what software runs on them? Or should the manufacturer hold all the cards?
I'd say I should have control. I paid for it, right? It's mine.
Exactly. That's the core argument. The author of this piece points out how manufacturers lock down bootloaders and prevent root access, that highest level of system control, on many devices. It's incredibly anti-consumer.
Bootloader.root access. Sounds like tech jargon from a sci-fi movie. What's the practical impact?
Well, without root access, you can't install alternative operating systems, deeply inspect what your device is doing, or even fix things yourself sometimes. It's like owning a car but only being allowed to use the dealer's mechanics and parts.
Oh, I see. So it's about more than just tweaking settings. It's about fundamental control?
Precisely. And the security argument manufacturers use? The author argues that it's a flimsy excuse for anti-competitive practices. They control app stores, revenue sharing, and even void warranties if you try to install anything not approved by them.
That's shady. Is there a specific example?
Absolutely. The author uses the comparison between MacBooks and iPads. Both use the same M-series chips, but only iPads have locked bootloaders. You can install Linux on a Mac, but not on an iPad, even though it's arguably just as powerful. It's infuriating.
That's a pretty strong argument. But what about the security concerns? Isn't there a risk in giving everyone root access?
The author acknowledges that risk and suggests that default settings could still keep things secure for average users. But the option to unlock these privileges should be there. To make an informed choice. It's about consumer choice, not just safety. It's about the right to modify your own property.
It also brings up some interesting points about sustainability and competition, doesn't it? Lockdown devices become e-waste faster, and the control over software distribution limits competition.
Exactly. The author mentions John Deere and their control over repair of their farming equipment as a prime example of this anti-competitive behavior. And the implications for free speech are pretty scary too, especially considering how governments might try to control app distribution.
So what's the solution? A legal mandate for right to root?
The author suggests a strong legal framework, focusing on a high burden of proof for manufacturers to justify any hardware locks. They even suggest exceptions for critical systems like medical implants. But for the vast majority of consumer devices, the right to root should be enshrined.
It all comes down to consumer rights and ownership, doesn't it? I think I'm on board with this right to root movement.
I know I am. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bites and News. We hope you enjoyed this discussion about the right to root access. Remember to subscribe and join us next time for more tech news and insightful discussions. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.